John, do you want to talk a little bit about the absolute must-haves? Like this is, and just so y'all know, this is kind of a do or die bullet point list. It's a little redundant to what we went over at 3x Shopify, but it's important for us to manage expectations and make sure everybody's on the same page.
Yeah, and it also actually even can force some possible changes prior to running Google Ads that you may not have thought about even changing. So, and I'll go through that in a moment here. But the must-haves. This is actually it's something that we share with our sales team. And the reason why we share this with our sales team is because if these must-haves are not met, we would be running traffic for a client almost like an exception. Like, man, I don't think this is going to work. But if the client's like, no, it absolutely works on Amazon and Facebook, and I need to have this and I need to do it this way, we say, okay, it's, asterisk here. This is not part of our must-have. So we actually wouldn't take on that person or that company as a client. We push away probably 50% of leads that come to us because of this list here. So that's how important this is. Every single time we've seen a campaign fail, it's always with maybe a few exceptions, it's always one of these reasons here. One of the must-have is a reasonable monthly ad spend. And the reasonable monthly ad spend, we wouldn't take on a client under $2,000 per month in ad spend. That's our industry standard. And the reason is you need to have enough data to understand what's working, what's not, and where to make the change take place in the account in a reasonable amount of time. Now, when clients pay us monthly, they don't really want to hear month 4 me saying, well, just give us more time and then it'll start working. So that's obviously not a good business relationship that we would want to have. So enough monthly ad spend to ensure that you can test everywhere that you need to test. And we've seen campaigns be really successful on search when smart shopping was, fairly mediocre. And it's not all the time, but if I didn't have enough ad spend to test that, it wouldn't be as successful as it is today. Or DSA campaigns outperform both the normal general search and the smart shopping because DSA can more instantly take a search user and put them right on the page that they need to, because the keyword strategy wasn't built out enough just yet. We didn't have enough time yet to identify all those areas. So a reasonable monthly ad spend, I would say, if you have under $2,000, maybe either hold off until it's affordable or understand that the first 3 months are going to be the most painful part of your campaigns. You're buying the data, you're investing into Google's algorithm. Google is starting to build you an audience that you're going to be able to capitalize on later. It's complete opposite of Facebook. Facebook, you can put an offer together and I just want to see, I love how John's doing his best to speak slowly. It's painful, David. It really is. Facebook is very instantaneous. You can put an offer together, drive 5,000 users, and then say, okay, how'd it do? Google is a learning algorithm. It takes time for it to understand a 15-day sales cycle when they interact with the ads, because smart shopping goes on all 5 channels of Google. It's search, display, YouTube, GSP, and shopping. So it has to see, when do they click on the ad? How many times do they click on the ad? Where do they click on those ads? Like what channel? Then how long does it take for them to, come back, and what channels do they come back into, and what products do they look at else? And then when do they buy? And now once I have all that data, I have to go figure out, okay, how many other people are doing the same actions or similar actions to these people who just purchased. And you can imagine that even a 15-day sales cycle, you have to wait a month possibly to start seeing sales come in. So reasonable monthly ad spend and time is going to be very important, because if you look at an X and Y axis, you need to have enough money so that the data can come in, and give it enough time to know that that data is repeatable. So it kind of moves on to the second point, where it's the 90 days to prove concept. We tell our clients by day 90, we're going to have a very solid footing on, yes, this is going to work and we can see the trend, or no, this is not going to work and we've tried everything that we can to start seeing a trend. So it's not 90 days before we're rocking and rolling, and by day 91 we're 600, 700 ROAS and we're just cruising. It's 90 days to prove the concept. It might take 180 days to get to a 500, 600, 700% return on ad spend, but it's worth it, because when you're there, it's very consistent for a long period of time. I actually don't have a client that I can think of right now that didn't hit a 500% ROAS and then just died off and failed, and we had to shake hands and part as friends. I don't remember that ever happening. Not saying it didn't, but I'm just saying I don't remember one. That's how rare that is. And so that's what I think is a good investment. Is it takes 90 days to prove the concept. And proof concept means, okay, I'm seeing the trends. I'm starting to see more sales. I've added a little bit of ad spend. Those sales are starting to increase, and I'm starting to become profitable. I guess I would just say be prepared to be in the negative for the first 90 days. That's what you have to be prepared for. Not that it's going to happen, but you have to be prepared for that. The e-commerce enabled website with a product feed. This is, I think everyone here on the call understands that, because you all came from the Shopify store, but that's something that obviously is going to be something that is important. And we're going to go through product optimizations, and we're going to do titles and descriptions and imagery and all that stuff. But obviously you need to have an e-commerce website enabled with a feed, and some feed management tools that we'll be discussing as well. Enough margins to support a traffic campaign. Here's actually where I'm going to share my screen, and I wanted to kind of share a moment in the sales conversation with this client. Let me just pull it up here. So I'm actually going to remove some columns just for right now, because this is what I looked at as I'm not sure if this is going to work. This is a company that sells a replacement ear pads for Bose and Beats. Essentially, these are like $12 ones from Walgreens because I'm cheap and frugal. But if you want to replace the ear pad with something customizable on your Bose headphones, this is a client that came to us and said, hey, I think this is something that I want to try and Google. I had a very, I don't know, I hope this is going to work, because these, if you look at the prices of these products, they're $19 and $25. If I have on average $1 click, let's just say, I have to sell this for, I have to have a 20% conversion rate to sell this for $5, which means you have $15 in profit left over. But if you have a 200% profit margin, or if you have basically 100% profit margins or 50% profit margins, depending upon how much margin you have, you might spend $1 million to make $1 million, and you break even over the course of like 5 years. So looking at the and Custom, can you have that? Can you share your screen again? I just want to make sure I'm still saying the right point here. I'm going to stop sharing, and it was the
enough margins to support a traffic campaign.
Enough margins. Okay, so there's two things about that, and that's kind of what I thought. It was enough margin, but also the right price. You can have 100% profit margin, but if you sell a $2 item, we're in trouble. So you have to have enough margin and enough price to make sure that it's going to be able to be profitable. Now, there's exceptions to that rule. I can have this $19 product here because after we're up and running, here's what we're able to identify is conversions, conversion value by cost, and then we'll just sort by conversions. You can look at here, if you look at this is a $19.95 product, and at $19.95, and they had 215 sales. So multiply that by 215 sales. This is 4,289. But if you look at the conversion value, it's 5,866. So why is this $1,600 higher than what it should have been? That's because people have a higher than the original price cart value. And when you have a higher than original, higher cart value than the original price, that now means that this price here really could be, essentially this is acting like a $30 product or $25 product. So if you don't have a product price that is high and you don't have a profit margin that can support it, you need to rely on a higher cart value. And that's something that you can actually identify inside of a campaign. And actually I'll just do that now because it's the masterclass. So this is something that we're gonna be able to do. Let me just see if I have one or not. Yeah, I do. Okay. So what you want to do, and I've already built this inside of here, but inside of columns and in modify columns, you go to custom columns, and I built this custom column here called average cart value. So you'd have to click on the plus symbol, Well, all it is the conversion value, and I use by conversion time.
Now, would you mind? Can we do it? Let's build one. Is that okay?
Yeah, yeah. I'll just actually erase this one, and then we'll just rebuild it. Okay. So we had a custom column, and I'm going to call this one average cart value. And you can, you can give this descriptions. It's for you. So if you wanted to like remind yourself exactly how this is created, or what it means, I think average cart value is pretty self-explanatory, but you can fill this in if you'd like. And then you want to build a formula. And the formula here, there's a good part and a bad part about the formula. The bad part about the formula is you can't use custom formulas instead of another formula. So you can't use like average cart value divided by, you have to actually rebuild everything. I know, it's horrible. So what I want to look at is what is my conversion value. And I like to do conversion value by conversion time. And let me see here. There it is. So conversion value by conversion time. This, I should explain the difference between conversions and conversion by conversion time. So what conversion value by conversion time and how that differentiates between conversion value is when you look at a report in Google Ads. Conversion value means how much money was made at the time of the click. So if someone clicks on Tuesday and orders on Thursday, Tuesday is going to have conversion value. That's what conversion value here. Conversion value by conversion time means if someone clicks on Tuesday and orders on Thursday, Thursday is going to look better. So I usually like to rely on conversion value by conversion time because that tells me what actually happened that day. Like, because that money will
qualify that for the dummy that's in myself. Conversion value by conversion time is just last click attribution, right? You're looking at effectively when the conversion took place, more or less last click.
That's the conversion value is when the last click took place before the conversion took place. So if they clicked on Tuesday and that was the last time they clicked on Google Ads, and then they end up ordering on Friday, when they order on Friday, Tuesday will have a higher conversion value.
Got it. I was trying to apply an attribution model to the conversion model. So to say it's like the conversions version of last click attribution. I just made it more confusing. Ignore me.
Well, no, you can guys dive a little bit deeper, and I love that this is a masterclass because I can do that. If you're using first click attribution versus last click attribution. First click attribution means when was the first time they clicked, and then if they bought, 15 days later, even if they went through 3 other campaigns, the first time they ever clicked on a campaign when they buy 30 days later, let's say the first day that they ever interacted with an ad is going to get that conversion value. But conversion value by conversion time means 30 days later, if they buy on that day 30 is going to have the conversion value show up in the report. So that's the difference there. I usually like conversion value by conversion time, and I'll show you kind of a difference between the two after we're done with this part. But conversion value, and then you just simply divide it. So click the divide button here by conversions, and then I use conversions by conversion time. And what this means is if you have $1,000 in conversion value divided by 10 orders, that's $100 per order. That's your average cart value. It's $100. So after we save this, I'm going to change the date format so the data format here, you can change it into a money symbol. That way it just puts a little dollar symbol or pound, or I'm not sure what they have in Australia, but that's the money symbol there. And then make sure that that's checked here. And then when you click apply, cool is I can see that in my smart shopping campaign here, I have a $28.81 cart value. Now on $15 and $19 products, $28 average cart value is now important because I'm getting, in the last 30 days, I have a 311% return on ad spend here, which means that I've spent $6,700. My conversion value, I have different columns pull up here. My conversion value is 20,000, and I actually have a profit column here that we'll build next, and that's $5,407. So I know that in the last 30 days, this one campaign brought $5,400. This is a very particular client. All these profits here are not really profit. They wanted to actually build campaigns sending traffic directly to Amazon, but Amazon doesn't track conversions in Google Ads, so that's why these all look negative. But you see like the branded and like the smart shopping, they're delivering what they need to deliver. But this is what's important here is that average cart value. You need to understand your average cart value, because once you know that, now what do you know? I need to know what my CPA is. What is my cost per acquisition? If I have a $28 average cart value and my cost per conversion, and let me just pull that in here. My cost per conversion is 17. That's actually not going off with conversion time. Let me see, do I have a cost per conversion? Yeah, so cost per conversion, I don't have one by conversion time. So that's why it's a little bit different. Let me actually do one thing, apologize. Let me just go back a month so I have a little bit more data. Okay, so let's see, this one is a 419% return on ad spend. I have a cost per conversion of 6. And that means if I spend $6 to make 28, that delivers a 400% return. So see that the cost per conversion here, and this is your average cart value. These are things that you'll need to know. You might have a $10 item, and you might say, uh-oh, like this $10 item might not, if I sell it for 6, I'm going to be losing money. Possibly. And that's what the only really way to know this is to really run the traffic and understand these metrics. If I have a average cart value of $28 on a $10 item, that means people are buying 3 items on average, which is completely viable. Now that's good. But if people are only buying that one item and they're only spending that $10 and your average cart value is 10 and you're costing now $6.70 to sell that $10 item, you're probably running into the negative. So I wanted to kind of share this actual result here so that you can see how this is possibly looking like it's a bad idea to run the traffic to, but how it can then turn into a really good idea and deliver a 419% return on ad spend on a $19 product. Even though it takes almost $7 to sell a $19 item, that's less than 300% ROAS. The average cart value is higher, that bumps it into that 400% ROAS. I'll stop sharing here. Any questions on that?
Don had a really good note on increasing the average order value, which we're going to be getting to, y'all. We actually have a whole section on exactly what we've seen clients do and the recommendations we make for boosting those values.
Yep, so that's enough margins and price point to support traffic campaign. Unique selling proposition. What was the formula for average cart value? It was conversion value divided by conversions. Just make sure you're only tracking the purchase conversion. Because think about this, if you have average cart value divided by conversions and you're tracking 3 different conversions, you're not going to have an accurate cart value. So my general rule of thumb is only tracking conversions that produce revenue in an e-commerce campaign, because Google doesn't really care what you label the conversion or what the conversion is, like started to chat and give me, signed up for my newsletter. If those are all 0 conversion values, in my opinion, for e-commerce, I don't track it, because that throws off all of my strategies from day 1 on. So make sure that you're only tracking conversions that deliver revenue. And the average cart value is your conversion value divided by conversion, so that it's just a 1-to-1 note. Mariana, do you include shipping costs in your calculations? Sometimes. It's interesting. We have clients that we have done that with and have not done that with, and it's interesting. It's really up to the client. There's no right or wrong answer here. If the client says, I'm including shipping, then your ROAS is going to be changed by if you're not including shipping. If you say, hey, I don't include shipping, it's a null cost to me, but I need 3x. Well, if you have an average cart value of $30, even if it's $50 shipping, then you're basing your numbers off of that. So just either way that you go, just make sure that your return on ad spend, if you're including shipping, but that's not a profit, you have to take out that shipping cost first before you can identify what that profit is. Other than using buy time, any particular reason you don't use the built-in column value for conversion? So that's the one of the reasons is I like using by time. If you don't use the by time, the last possible 20-30 days might not be, it may not be actually all there for you. And let me see if I can actually pull this up here. Okay, let me see here. Share screen. I didn't prepare for this question, so I'm gonna actually dive in to see if it's available. Let me just take a look here. Okay, so this one only has a 3-day conversion lag. I think we have a client that has a slightly crazy one. Yeah, so if you look at this one, this has a 19-day conversion lag. So if you use the let me just pull it up so I can actually speak to the exact metric here. Hold on. How do I get the chat box pop up? There you go. If you use the value by conversion column, you're going to have to look at the value by conversion before May 14th if this was what your account looks like. Because then you know, okay, I have all the data up till like the 13th. Anytime from here on out looks like things are going to start to tank. Because as you can see, this is pretty good right here, pretty good right here. And then all of a sudden, whoa, my conversions start to drop. And then you might think, uh-oh, things are going bad. But it's not in reality. It's just people haven't purchased here yet. They clicked on the ad. So your value per conversion possibly is going to be reduced a lot because you're not using the buy time. Buy time means anything you did over here is going to be purchasing over here. But since they haven't purchased over here because people are clicking here and they might actually buy later on, it's not going to be attributed to this area just yet. Only percentile will be. So right now, like 74% is in. So I'm going to get 25% more sales. So I like to use a custom column and then use by time to know, okay, what did I do 2 weeks ago? I know that I have a 14-day lag. So what is purchasing today from my actions 2 weeks ago? That's looking good. I can make quicker decisions off of it rather than saying, man, I really hope this next 14 day or 19 days goes good. And then having to wait 20 days. Usually for us as an agency, the clients need to know like right now, how's everything going? And if they hop in, they're going to see a different story than what I can interpret. So hopefully that helps. Cool. Let's there we go. Thank you, Qasim. Unique selling proposition. This is something that I'm not trying to disparage anybody that might be drop shipping, but just know that you've entered into a much more competitive ecosystem than what a unique product company might have entered into. So I'll give you a good example. Silicone rings. We had one of the very large manufacturers of silicone rings as our client. I think 2017, Qasim, right?
It was right when Facebook took the first big algo switch. So something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So 2017. Now back then, there was really only 3 major companies doing silicone rings. So they had a unique selling proposition because their competitors were only 2, and their unique selling proposition was, yeah, we have a silicone ring, but our silicone rings are designed specifically so that airflow can get into the ring and it doesn't make your fingers smell and sweat and get sticky and all the other stuff. The other 2 manufacturers have that, we do not, and ours is a much better version of that. Now fast forward 4 years, and you can buy silicone rings, like 1,000 of them for like $6 on AliExpress. And these rings were selling for like $30 each. So if you're trying to get into the silicone ring manufacturing or silicone ring selling now, you possibly, as a drop shipper, might not really have a unique selling proposition. You might have a unique selling proposition, but you and 47 other competitors might as well. And so unique selling proposition is almost non-existent. You're kind of a Me Too company now in drop shipping. And that's not necessarily a bad thing, but just understand those type of, that the ecosystem that you have entered into. You're now price driven. And price driven can really be a killer in Google Ads, pretty much any paid traffic, actually, Facebook and Instagram included. And if you have a product that 50 other competitors do now as well, because you're drop shipping, a lot of times you have to rely on having the cheapest price. But when paying for that traffic, you have to spend the most and charge the least. Well, that delivers very little profit and very little scalability, because as you start scaling, your profit might dip for a little while. You can't afford to scale. So unique selling proposition is very important. If you are drop shipping, try to use a product or a try to choose an industry that is not heavily saturated. And in my opinion, if you're looking at planning to sell something and you're thinking, you know what, I really do need to drop ship, choose the non-sexy items if you can. One thing that I like to say is like garage shelving. You know, you're never gonna think, oh yeah, garage shelving, like that's the hip trendy item that I need to sell. But no, it's you know, people are willing to spend a few $100s up to a few thousand, and there's just not a lot of people that are rushing to the paid traffic arena with garage shelving. So if you're hopping on the trend, and I did this like many years ago, I saw something starting to sell, and so I just drop shipped it, and it was a roller coaster of emotions. I'm like, it's working, and then it would die off a week later because everyone else would sell for 1/10 of the price, and then I'd just take all my profitability and throw it right out the window. So unique selling proposition is going to be key for longevity. And it's also going to be key for return traffic. And return traffic is just as important, possibly maybe even more important than that first sale. It's 6 times less expensive to resell an existing customer than it is to get a new one. So just think about that. It's 6 times less expensive. And digital marketer, it's one of their metrics. And so unique selling proposition is going to be important. It's not maybe that I can only get this from you, but you have the best, or you have something most innovative, or you have the most value. So unique selling proposition is really important. And I see, Tamika, there are vendors that give you branded products that is competitive with Amazon prices, be niche specific collectibles, and unique collectible is unique and profitable. Right, and that's what I'm thinking is I've seen the gurus, and I think that's why I wanted to make this point here. I've seen the gurus that say, go to Amazon, look at the top 100 list of this week, and this is the top 100 items that are selling. Well, that's the top 100 of the most saturated, least profitable in the next 6 months. And so that's the issue, is a lot of people rush to the same area to say, well, these are selling, I can sell them too. But as soon as someone else has the 10% cheaper than you do, on Amazon, you don't get the buy box, and on Google Ads, everyone looks like they have the same picture. And now it's just whoever is the cheapest. So niche specific evergreen items, like Tamika was saying, that's that's a great idea. Something that can be non-seasonal, it can be really good. We do have a client that sells an outdoor Bluetooth speaker, and we just kind of go dormant during the winter months. Basically, once November hits, from November till March, we're pretty much just kind of dormant because no one wants to go outside. So, or we can only sell in like the Southwest. So those are the key things: is unique selling proposition, and make sure it's not as seasonal, because otherwise you're going to have some ebbs and flows. So customizable, yes, is okay. So if you have an item that you can say you put a picture in, or you can have it, you know, engraved with a name or an initials, that's completely fine. The one-offs is where we see a lot of pain in Google Ads. And what I mean by that is one-offs are, you know, I have a painting and it's the only painting I'll ever have, and once I sell it, I'll never have it again. Google does not like those, because Google says, aha, I sold one. Now what happened? And how do I repeat this process? Oh, I can't anymore. I got to go redo my whole learning algorithm for the next product. Because remember how GTINs are a way that Google identifies and catalogs a specific product? That GTIN now just goes away forever. And you may not even have a GTIN. So it took longer for them to figure out how to sell it. And now that it's cataloged, they just can't sell it anymore. So I would heavily stay away from one-offs. If you only can sell one-offs, try to have like products. Like we have baskets that we've sold, and those baskets have little minor inconsistencies and possibly little minor changes in design and details. And we tell them that, like, not everyone's going to look the same, but as we have these things that are handmade, we try to do the same one. So if you're painting, paint the same picture. If you have jewelry, try to make the same jewelry enough that you can actually recycle that GTIN. It might be, you know, a gold bracelet with an infinity symbol. You might have some little minor tweaks, but try to keep making those same bracelets if you can. So that's a really good indicator that Google needs to learn and repeat. And when you have one-off products, it will learn. It'll be expensive. Your first sale is always your most expensive, and you don't want to have your first sale every single time.
Nice to have.
If you can have multiple SKUs, especially if they're like products, that's the best. Because if someone says, I have a need for product A, and you have product A and have 10,000 versions of product A that are unique and you know, they have a very different, like a bunch of different designs. Think clothing shops. Clothing shops are great. You know, they have 100 different dresses and 10,000 different skirts and a million different whatever maybe. And you can go there and say, well, I like that one, that one, that one, and that one. Well, now your average cart value just increased because you have you have multiple SKUs and they're very like products, because people come to your shop for a reason. they need a product. And if you can show them a few of them that they like, they might buy a few of them. And so your average product value increases. Product financing. Everyone here has heard of Affirm, Quad Pay. There's a bunch of them out there, but that we've actually seen a really big jump in sales, especially for products that are over $100. So product financing, and it's not, what's interesting is it doesn't really hurt everyone here. You get paid instantly from Affirm. Affirm just gets paid back through 4 payments through the person at a specific set amount. So Klarna and Afterpay, yeah, there you go, Don. Thank you so much. Klarna and Afterpay, yeah, I knew there was more out there. I just had a brain fart there. But things like Affirm, Klarna, Afterpay, QuadPay, those are great. If you can add those to your site, you will actually see that if you have a higher price product, maybe your product's $57 right now. What if it was $99 with QuadPay? Would people buy more? You can simply just increase your prices if you have a unique selling proposition, especially with multiple SKUs, and you're not selling one-offs. You can increase your price and offer QuadPay, and you actually might see a bump in sales. We do have a client that has a $325 Letterman jacket for the high school jackets for football teams, and he has an average cart value, I think, of like $390 or $400 after everything's kind of said and done in the customization. And he called me up one day. He goes, "John, what's Affirm?" I said, "Well, that's the quad payment." He goes, "Oh, we had $12,000 in sales last week." He's like, "I've never even seen this before. I thought it was fake." He's 76, so it just kind of like new to him. But that one was something that's how I found out about the effect that it has on conversion rates and the amount of conversion. So if you can look at product financing, it can help a lot. Strong, like, yeah, and Sezzles, then you pay interest if you let the funds sit with them. That recovers a merchant discount. I have a link. Hey, Robin, thank you. They typically take a 4 to 6% of revenue as their fee. Yep. But again, if you can increase your profit margin by 100%, I'd pay that 4 to 6% if I'm making 100% more than I used to. So don't just maybe add it and then say like, "Oh, I'm losing money." Increase your prices, especially if you're new. You can test at higher prices. So strong lifetime value. It's amazing. We have clients that have like 4.5 purchases over the course of a year. And that's where I would say is you want to look at. The LTV, in my opinion, LTV is great. I don't even know how to make this an acronym, but year time value. So like YTV. I like to look at things in a year. How often do people purchase multiple times within 365 days? Because that's what I want to judge my monthly ROAS on. As an example, if I have an average cart value of $100, but people make 3 purchases on average over the course of 12 months, that $100 cart value turned into $300 cart value. And now my cost per conversion, I can be $50 cost per conversion because I'm scaling fast. I'm spending a whole lot of money because I know that I'll have a 200% return, but over the course of a year, I'll have a 600% return because that $50 turned into $50 I spent went from $100 and then turned into $300. So that's a 600% ROAS in a year time. Big brands like Nike, Adidas, I know this for a fact, they need a 100% return on investment before they scale fast and hard. And I think like $1 million per month scale, because they know that their numbers are so dialed in that if they have a 100% return on ad spend in 1 month, that turns into like a 300 or 400 or 500 for the rest of the year because people buy multiple shoes over the course of over a year. So they say if I hit a 1.0, 100% return on ad spend, they scale fast. So knowing what your year time value is per customer and how often they purchase and what the average value is, how many, if they purchase 3 times, that's $100 each, that's $300. So knowing that year long value can have you set lower targets for your ROAS goal and higher targets for your CPA so you can scale quicker and grow your business faster. High margins, we spoke about that. Repeat business, again, that's kind of what we're the same theme. And ascension opportunities. Ascension opportunities, I think, Kasim, did we have?
We've got another slide coming up here where we'll talk a little bit, in greater detail. Yeah,
so ascension opportunities, one-click upsell is something that we've seen work really well. I think there's a person here on this masterclass that has great success from one-click upsell that we spoke to recently. the ascension opportunities, don't overlook those. Even if they're just small $5, $10, $15, $20 add-ons and you have a $100 average cart value, if I'm spending $100, it's very easy for me to now just spend 110 or 120. It's not a big ask. So those ascension opportunities are valuable. Lifestyle imagery, especially for the drop shippers. Lifestyle imagery is super, super, super important. It goes back to the heart and soul of what selling is. Think about when you bought a car. If anybody here has went to a car dealership and purchased a car, and I'm trying to use something that hopefully everyone has gone through, or just a large ticket item, house, boat, whatever, maybe RV. When you go to a car dealership and you test drive, that test drive isn't necessarily from a car dealership's perspective to see how you like how the car handles. That's a part of it. And I used to own a marketing company for car dealerships, so I know this for a fact. When they get you into a test drive, what they're doing is they're having you see yourself doing this all the time. They want you to get in the car and look at the reflection of the car dealership next to you and see yourself in the car. And then when you're driving, they want to see like how many people are looking at my brand new shiny car. All they're doing is trying to ingrain into your mind, you can do this every day. Well, that's what lifestyle imagery is. If they see someone with the headphones, but they see a person in, possibly a workout outfit and they're jogging down the beach. It's like, man, if I have these headphones, I can jog down the beach. That's, not necessarily true, but that's what is interpreted. So lifestyle imagery is used in psychology to essentially envision yourself doing this if you just had this item. So lifestyle imagery, don't overlook it. It is actually really important. And I can imagine if everybody is honest with themselves and thinks back for about at least a year, you probably saw an image of something happening and you said, I want that to be me. That's all lifestyle imagery is, and it's very, very powerful. Existing purchase traffic. If you do have existing purchase traffic, you can launch very quickly on smart shopping. And that's where we see usually the most success. If we ever take on a new client and they already have like Facebook and Instagram traffic possibly, or good organic sales or direct sales or email sales, existing purchase traffic is a very, very nice to have, because Google simply just is started and then say, there's all these sales taking place. Well, who are these people? They look like that. Okay, I have 10 examples right now today, so I'm gonna go find more. And imagine you waiting for those sales to come in. Those sales are already there. Google is sales agnostic. They see the sales happening, identify who it's coming from analytics, and then can start off on its own path.